Welcome to Victory Lane. We're going to continue now with the reading of Three Pennies from Hell to Heaven. God bless you. God keep you. And here we go. Page 63. He turned back away from me walking with his folks, and I knew that I was the highlight of his conversation as they all fixed their eyes on me and none saying a word. I became uneasy as I continued my journey in the mouth of the lion. I got to Ellis at Taylor, where across the street was Glide Memorial Church, the place where I have grown accustomed to getting a good free meal. The difference was that Glide was closed, and the people of the day were nothing like the demons of the night. I saw another group of people standing in and outside the small community park, where in the day there was not too much action except for a few group of people sitting on the benches or the grass just hanging out. But this time it was truly like night and day. I walked up to a few people who were drinking and talking and told them I was writing a book. They immediately looked at me and walked away. I could hear some of them saying, 5-0, 5-0, that Negro is 5-0, undercover. The park had transformed itself from a place of comfort and contentment to a black hole of disgrace and ruin, with those who were within it smoking crack right out in the open, selling dope, shooting dope, and transferring money for dope. I had never seen nothing like it in all the years of my addiction. A crowd of people getting high, and even more so, a group of drug dealers selling their wares, crack, heroin, marijuana, and who knows what, right there in the open of the public eye. It was unbelievable. I walked up Ellis Street, away from the sounds and all the action, and as I walked, I looked behind me and seen death slowly walking behind me. Two figures were walking in my footsteps. Every step I would take, they would take. Moving away from the public scene, each step I walked deeper into the blackness of the night. No cover. No one was on the streets on either side of the block as I continued walking up Ellis to Leavenworth, where there were two liquor stores on the corners. I walked into one while the two thugs walked across the street and stood on the corner waiting for me to come out. I went to the refrigerator and bought a beer and started telling one of the customers that I was writing a book on the life of the Tenderloin. He said, "Hey, I'm writing a book too. I just haven't figured out what's it going to be about." He was on alcohol. As soon as I can figure it out, I'm going to let the world know. You know what I mean? It's a trip, the way the world goes round and round. My mind was a million miles away from this conversation. My concern was the two guys waiting across the street for me to come out of the store. The same two that had been following me the last 3 blocks. What did they want from me? What was their intention towards me? The street life has rules, policies, and regulations, none of which are written in a book. It's not like you get hired on a new job and they give you the job handbook to learn the company policies, the do's and the don'ts. The Street Life Jobs Handbook is a book of its own. Some things you do and some things you don't. The regulations and the guidelines are in accordance with one word, and that one word is respect. Everyone in the street life always succumbs and gives way to the word respect, or at least that's what they are supposed to do. But as you know, very well know, not everyone plays by the rules. We were brought up in life to take heed to your fellow man and with respect, and the only way to get respect is to give respect. So now the question was, are those guys going to adhere to what I would say? I only had 2 choices. One was to walk out the store and head back the other way as fast as I could, or meet the challenge face to face. There was no way that I was going to try and run or walk back down the streets not knowing what fate had in store for me if I turned and walked back down into the gloom. The only choice I had was to confront the situation head on. I stepped out the store into the darkness and looked to the right of me down the streets, and they were empty. I looked up the hill, nothing but darkness. There were some people standing across the street away from the 2 guys who were across the street on the opposite side, just standing, watching me. Looking then to my left, down the hill, nothing but darkness. It was as if everyone were hiding amongst the doorways all around me, and the only human life were me and the two guys and those few people across the street. Fear hit me like a rock. I didn't know what to do. If I go left or right, up the hill or down the hill, I could be dead. In situations like that in the street life, you must act, and you must act quick and precise. And even though I was afraid of what could happen, I had to address it face to face without any hesitation or reservation. After all, hesitation could mean my life. The only way to be set free from this fear of the possibility of death was to face it. I waited for the light to change and walked across the street looking straight ahead at the two young thugs as they stood on the corner. When I got to their corner, I walked right up to them and said, "Look here, young brothers, I noticed that y'all been following me for the past 3 blocks. Let me tell you something. I'm out here doing my research. I'm writing a book about the homeless and living in the Tenderloin. I am not the police." They looked at me and one of them spoke out while the other one raised his jacket up to show me a gun. It looked like a 9mm. "You not 5-0? I said, "No, young brothers. I'm just trying to do my thing and write this book." After a brief moment, he said, "Cool. I believe you, OG. Go ahead and do your thing while we go ahead and do our thing." Then he said, "You know if you 5-0, we'll find out." I said with an authoritative voice, "I am not the police." Even though they had a gun or guns, I could not show them that I was afraid to stand up for what I was doing. Many times in the hood, all you have to do is stand up for what's right, and most members of the street life recognize right and wrong. Back to that word called respect. They pulled out their bag of crack and motioned the people to come over. I turned to my left and walked down the street in the empty darkness as the people on the other side of the street who were watching ran across the street to buy crack. They, the drug dealers, were selling. I did not turn around to look and see the action. I just kept walking at a brisk pace, trying to get myself out of the lion's den. Ellis to Eddie, Eddie to Turk, Turk to Golden Gate, just one more block to Civilization to Market Street. I made it. It was the normal hustle and bustle of the street life at night on Market Street. People hanging out, walking to and fro, Carl's Jr., cars and buses, even the police driving down the street. I thought, where were you guys when I might have needed you? A lot of street life people hate the police. Me, I have my run-ins with the law, but for the most part, I never had any real problems with the police. I mean, I know that there are some bad cops, but if you come right with them, even they will show you respect, even if they do take you to jail. But if you think that you are above the law and give them some trouble, then you got to face the consequences. After all, if someone breaks into your house, if someone robs you, if someone rapes your mother, your daughter, your sister, heaven forbid, if someone causes a car accident, you know what I mean? Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters? No, you're gonna call the police, the ones who protect and serve. I felt a lot more relaxed walking down Market Street, headed back to Otis' apartment than I had been about 10 minutes earlier in the jaws of the lion. Just a few more blocks as I slowed my pace, walking down Market Street to 5th, to Mission, to Howard, to Claremont Street. I thought about that song the Ohio Players said, "Heaven must be like this." Man, I was relieved as I rang Otis's doorbell. "Who is it?" "It's me, Otis." There was a receptionist there, a nice-looking, youthful Chinese lady who said to me, "Sir, are you signed in?" I said, "Yes, I signed in for overnight stay with my cousin Otis." She looked at the book, and even though I was past the time of being allowed into the building as a visitor, she said, "Have a nice evening. Thank you." Whoa, that was so refreshing to see a female, a young one at that. It made me smile for the moment, forgetting what I had just gone through. Otis said, "How did it go, cuz?" I told him what happened. And he said, "Hey, Lawrence, maybe you shouldn't go back out there, especially at night." "Yeah, maybe I shouldn't, but I'm on a mission, and I can't let the fear of the streets and the people on the streets stop me from doing what I need to do." But those streets could cost you your life. Well, I hope it don't. You think writing this book is worth it? Not really, but I got to do what I got to do. I put my writing tablet down on the table, sat down, and began to try and figure out what I did wrong as I began to write my misadventure. While writing, it occurred to me that one of the things I did wrong, rather that seemed wrong on the streets, was to have a writing tablet taking notes. That kind of thing definitely causes suspicion. I thought, how many people do you see on the streets taking notes about their surroundings? None. Not even in my neighborhood. Have you ever seen someone taking notes? So the writing tablet had to go. From now on, I had to file everything in my head, then come back and write about it. Home. I really did not have a home. Home is where the hatred is. Another song. Home is where the needle marks. Try to heal my broken heart, and it might not be such a bad idea if I never went home again. You keep saying kick it, quit it, Lord, but have you ever tried to turn your sick soul inside out so that the world can watch you die? Esther Phillips. The scene of those people smoking crack and shooting up dope in their veins stayed on my mind for quite some time that night as I tried to sleep, which did not come easy. I had to think deep in how to become inconspicuous, and be yet a part of the streets. The next morning, while using the bathroom and washing my face, looking into the mirror, it came to me like a flash of light. My appearance was too clean for hanging out in the Tenderloin. In another neighborhood in the streets, it was okay, but not here in the Razor. I mean, I had a shaved, bald head, and my mustache was trimmed too neat. I had to get grubby. My clothes had to be ordinary. No slacks, no collar press shirts, no sweaters, no hard-toed shoes, rather tennis shoes, and just regular street clothes. I asked Otis, how many days can I stay here within a month without getting into trouble? He said 11. Okay, I think I stayed overnight 3 nights already. Yeah, I think so. Okay, I got to change my look before I go back on the streets at night. So I'm going to let my hair grow out on my head, showing my bald spot, and I'm not going to shave. I'm going to be like you, Otis. What do you mean? Raggedy. Oh, cuz, that show is cold. You calling me raggedy? Hey, don't nobody mess with you when you on the streets, do they? No, not really. Well, that's what I'm talking about. You think that will work? It's working for you, ain't it? We both laughed. It was Monday morning. I heard the door close as Otis left the apartment. I looked at the Big Ben wind-up clock on the dresser. It said 7:05 a.m. and laid there thinking about what I was going to do next. I really did not have a plan. I was just taking it one day at a time. It would have been good to have a plan, but I did not know what the street life was like down here in the Tenderloin. Last night was a frightful initiation, an introduction to the Razor and its people at night in the darkness under the cover of lost souls stirring around in the pit of hell here on earth, the pit in which I now lived in. The only problem is that I did not want to live in it too long, and I did not want to lose my life in the process of writing this book. The challenge was upon me to finish this task of being homeless, living the street life, and going through whatever homeless people go through. I was determined to see it through. The passion in me burned to accomplish what I needed to accomplish. And what was that? I didn't even know what I was going to achieve, but I knew I had to experience what I was doing for the good of myself. Maybe if I go through this, I can become a better person. Maybe I can become a better man. Maybe I can help someone along the way on the road of life. Just maybe God has a plan for me at the end of this journey, because only He can see me through this cement jungle down here in the lion's den. The door opened around 9:30 a.m. Otis walked in drinking coffee, smoking a cigarette. Hey, Gray, what's up for today? I think I'm just going to take it easy, Otis, and relax, gather my thoughts about my books, and do some writing. Well, that's a good thing. You can stay here as long as you want. But I have to tell you, after the 11th day of any month, I cannot have any overnight visitors. I understand, Otis. I mean, if you went over 11 days, you couldn't leave out of the apartment and come back at night. Okay, I'll work something out if I use up my 11 days, you know? Stay at the shelter or something like that. That's cool. I just want you to know because Mr. Lee will make trouble for you and I'll be in violation of my lease and I don't want to get kicked out of my apartment. Oh yeah, that dude, Mr. Lee, he looks like he can be a bit of trouble. Yeah, he can. He always looks to see who is breaking the rules. Is that right? Yep. That's why Clyde can't stay overnight anymore. He broke the rule of staying past 11 days and Mr. Lee found out and now all he can do is just visit and then he has to leave by 10 p.m. That's the rule? Yeah. If you are not an overnight visitor, I can only have one visitor and you have to leave by 10 p.m. And if you stay overnight, you can't get back in after 11. So you can't go out at night after 11 o'clock? No, I can go out anytime I want, but my visitor cannot go in and out after 11. Okay, I'll remember that. And little did I know I would remember it oh so well and remember it real soon. That afternoon, Clyde, Slim, Dave, and Dave all came over to hang out at Otis' apartment. This time, it wasn't as bad as the last. I guess there was no crack around. Everyone, including me, just laughed and talked, letting time pass away. Salt and Pepper Dave was talking pretty straight without all that stuttering. He was giving me the 411 on how to get welfare and food stamp. St. John Dave, like Otis, was on disability, and so was Slim. St. John, mental, Slim, physical. Clyde, on the other hand, was getting odd jobs waiting for his disability check to kick in. I took in all Salt and Pepper Dave was telling me. I had no intention of getting on welfare or collecting food stamps, but I had no income coming in, and I had to find a job pretty quick or take what I could get from the government. I decided to try and wait it out before taking the drastic measure of state assistance. I figured that one day soon I would go up to Glide and try to find a job on their job board. After all, I knew I had enough skills to find some work. All I had to do was use them. The evening came and I told Otis that I was going up to Glide and get some dinner and asked if he or any of the other guys wanted to come along. They all declined. Clyde was sleeping. Slim and St. John Dave said they were going home. Salt and Pepper Dave said he was going home too, but his home was in the streets. I asked him, so where do you sleep at? He said, I got my spot under the freeway. Ain't too bad. And plus I stay warm. Been doing it a long time. But don't you get welfare and food stamps? Yeah, but I'd rather spend my money and my stamps on crack getting high. It ain't no big thing to me. You'd rather get high smoking crack than to get yourself a room? Yeah, I don't like to be locked up in a room anyway. Okay, whatever. Sounds crazy to me. Slim said, now ain't that something? You a stupid son of a gun, Dave. You'd rather smoke crack and live outside in the streets rather than get yourself a room. Ain't that crazy, Lawrence? I told you these people ain't got no sense. I said, yeah, I don't know about that, but it's pretty bizarre to me that you would rather live outside when you can get a room living inside with heat, electricity, bathroom, and running water. I don't need all of that. All I have to do is stay warm. Look here, I eat at Glide. I sleep on the streets under the freeway. I got my blankets, and believe it or not, I stay warm. And then when I want to take a shower, I just go down to one of them men's shelters. Slim said, well, you probably need to stop by one of those shelters on your way home. I said, that's mean, Slim. He said, I don't give a thing about that being mean. If you stink, you stink. Salt and Pepper Dave said, I'm going to take a shower tomorrow because right now the place is closed. I said, I'll check y'all out later. I'm going to Glide and get something to eat. Otis, I'll be back to get my backpack. Tonight I'm going to the shelter. Otis said, Lawrence, you don't have to go down there. You can stay here. Besides that, I can use the company. I said, don't want to use up those visiting days too soon. Already used 3, and this month just started. Today is July 6th. Got a long way to go before the end of the month. Yeah, you're right, but if you want to, you can stay. I took my walk to Glide so that I could get some dinner. The street crowd from the other night, Sunday, was like night and day. Pretty calm, not too much riffraff as far as drug dealers and drug users. No one was openly smoking or shooting dope, and the dealers themselves were lying low, those who were not being very discreet. I passed them all at Turk and Taylor and kept walking for the next 2 blocks to get in line. It was not too long I took my place and waited for my turn to go in and eat. I got my tray and began to look for a place to sit. There he was, a sight for sore eyes to see. My homie from my neighborhood. He caught my eye as I approached his table and ministered a smile as big as Texas. It appeared that we were both in the same predicament, and the old adage of the saying, misery loves company, fitted just right for us. If I ever get my hands on a dollar bill again, I believe I'll hold on to it till the ego grins, 'cause I found out nobody wants you when you're down and out, down and out. Bobby Womack. Hey, here, I heard that name. I hadn't heard that name in many years. I almost forgot that it was my nickname on the streets as a teenager and a young adult. Not everyone knew that name, and those who did were very familiar with me as well as I were with them. It was Dirk Williams. What you doing down here, man? Hey, Dirk, it's good to see you. I mean, it's messed up that I see you here, but it's still good to see you. What you doing here? You're the last person on earth I thought I would ever see in this place. I'm eating dinner, same as you. You know what I mean? Yeah, I do. Crack. That got to be the devil himself. You right about that. That's why I'm writing a book about it. I'll be doggone here. I knew you always had it in you. Yep, as soon as I get clean. Well, I tell you what, you got a fight on your hands because that crack is a mother. Yeah, I know. Just goes to show you, Dirk, that life does not discriminate. You got that right. But I'm shocked to see you, and I'm glad to see you. This is not the place for you down here in the lion's den, especially someone from your background and all the knowledge and skills that you have. You don't belong here. Well, Dirk, I'm on a mission from God. He laughed and said, Negro, you must be crazy. Well, I already knew you were crazy. I just never thought that you were crazy. You know what I mean? Yeah, I know what you mean. So what's the deal? What's the deal here? Crack. Man, that crap got many of folks screwed up, including me. Dirk cussed quite a lot, even as kids. It seemed that cussing was the thing to do in growing up, showing your maturity in life. Cussing made you big. Cussing made people look up to you. Cussing gave you power. Cussing made people back up. Cussing was a tool used at the right time could save your life, or the wrong time make you lose your life. Cussing was an art of rhythmic words flowing and gliding off your tongue, salivating through your mouth, seducing the ears, and penetrating the mind of who's ever listening as the phrase spit from your lips. And if you knew how to perfect it, you got respect from everyone. Cussing is an offense and a defense when used at the right time. An offense to attack and a defense to keep people backed away. Cussing went hand in hand in the hood. One of the things in the street life you just do. I'm trying to come out of the streets, yet still living in the streets. I played the street life because there's no place I can go. Street life, it's the only life I know. Street life, and there's 1,000 parts to play. Street life, until you play your life away, and you better not get old. Street life, or you gonna feel the cold. As we ate, I looked at him and I began to reminisce on our childhood growing up in Bayview, Hunters Point. As we laughed and talked about those good old days. I met Dirk when I was 14 years old. We both went to high school together at Woodrow Wilson, the school on top of the hill. Man, was it on top. We had to walk up this steep hill on Mansell Street every morning just to get to school. Sometimes we would catch the bus, and I remember on many of those occasions that the bus would be so crowded with students that it barely made it up those long 5 blocks climbing that mountain. It would stutter and jerk, and sometimes it would get stuck in the middle of the block 3 or 4 in block 3 or 4 because the ascent of each block got steeper and steeper. And as we would travel up and up and up because of the weight of so many students on the bus, when this would happen, the driver would open the doors so that some of us could get off and walk the rest of the way so that the bus would not roll back down the hill. It was a scary event. Dirk ran track, played baseball and football. He was a natural sports jock. There were many naturals back in the day who would have all been all-star professional athletes by today's standards, and Dirk was one of them back in the day. He stood about 5 feet 6 inches and was solid like a rock, or what the old folks used to say, stout. You know, here, I've been down this path and tried all the drugs there is out here, and I ain't never came across nothing like this crack crap. I mean, this crack is the devil. Yeah, Dirk, I know. No, Negro. Now, Negro, how did you get caught up in this stuff like everybody else? You know, here, you're right. This crap done turned out every good person I know. Turned them out. My sister, my brother-in-law, and now it got you too. Yeah, wish I was the exception to the rule. Here, I don't even want to talk about it. It give me the heebie-jeebies. And I laughed and said, I know what you mean. As we continue to talk about our old days on the streets, all the hustles and our lifestyles of stealing, selling, and making money, and the people along the way who is still here and who is not, Dirk started giving me the 411 about the Tenderloin. He told me that living down here in the TL is nothing like growing up or living in the hood where we live. He said, here, it's dangerous, real dangerous out here in the razor. These people down here will suck the blood out of your veins, drink it, and cut you up and eat you like a flipping cannibal. You got to watch your back at all times. Don't trust nobody. He will befriend you 1 minute and kill you the next. I don't know if you can hang here. I said, I'll be all right. I know the streets. Yeah, I know you know, and you got the look that backs people off. You always had the look. Couldn't fight worth nothing, but if looks could kill, a whole lot of folks would be dead the way you look at people sometimes. It's my defense. Well, you're going to need that and more here in this place, but for the most part, you know, people will respect you if you give respect. So tell me, Dirk, how long you been out here? Tune in next week. God bless you.